Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the London International Animation Festival. This is a panel discussion with some of the filmmakers whose films are screening in competition in the stop motion Panorama. I'm Nag Vladermersky, the festival director, and we've got Malcolm Turner, my co-director, and four of the filmmakers whose films are screening. So we have Baz Sells, whose film is Two Black Boys in Paradise. We have Marie Kivi, who's joining us from Estonia with her film Eat in Time. And we have the duo Janneke Swinkels and Tim Frijsinger. Probably mangled your names, but they're joining us from the Netherlands with their film Murmuration. So these are three stop motion films. Two Black Boys in Paradise is very beautiful, very moving short film based on a poem by Dean Atta, and it's about two boys who embark on a journey of love. The film explores race, identity, and sexuality. I found it a very uplifting film, and it's got a universal message of hope and love in it. Eating Time is another stunning film in the program. It's by Marie, and it's quite surreal, quite poetic film. Features an elderly woman and a shoemaker's workshop. There's themes of memory and the past and the present. They all seem to sort of overlap as we see this woman through different stages of her life. And Murmuration by Janneke and Tim, also a very beautiful film. It's like I'd call it a bit of a magical realist film. I don't know if they agree, but it also features an elderly character, this time an elderly man who's living in a nursing home. And we see him interacting with some of the other people in the home. And he's looking out at some of the birds that are outside his window, and it feels like he wants to be one of these birds, and in fact we slowly start to see him transforming into one of these birds. So okay, just I'll start with a general question. Just would like you one at a time to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about the conception of your films, where the original germ, the idea came from, and then how it developed into production. So, who would like to go first? Anyone?
I guess I can go.
Yeah, go for it, Baz.
Yeah, so my name's Baz Sales. I'm the director, co-writer, and co-DOP of Two Black Boys in Paradise. And our film, uh, our journey on the film began in 2020 when our producer, Ben Jackson, saw Dean reading the poem at a poetry event. This kind of somewhat coincided with Ben's own journey of wanting to make a film centered around his own kind of journey of coming out. So it was very much there was a real synergy between what Ben was trying to do as a producer, what I was trying to do as a director, supporting him on his own journey, and yeah, and the themes within the poem itself. Um, Over the next 5 years, it took us 5 years to make, maybe 1 year of development. After the 1 year stage, we got BFI funding through the Short Form Animation Fund. It was incredibly difficult to make. We are an indie studio, but we really tried to push the production values and the quality and the technical ambition of the film. So it was a long labor of love, but yeah, we had some fantastic support from crew, many of which who belong to the communities that are kind of represented on screen. So yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic journey, a challenging one, but yeah, a very worthwhile one.
Right. Okay. How long did the whole process take?
It was 5 years from concept to completion. We were in production probably about 3 years, I think, and then about a year of post after it. Yeah.
Wow, long time.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Marie, tell us a bit about your film.
Hello, my name is Mari. I'm from Estonia. I am the director of the film Eating Time. My journey started 6 years ago. I was living with my grandfather who was retired and stayed home. So I was watching him, and he was all the time traveling in his memories. So I got an idea to make a film about how do you look back to your life when you're older. And the other point in the film, what I wanted to touch is how do you feel when you are in these difficult situations in your life, in very stressful places, and how you go through from these times. And then later, how do you look back? So it was 6 years process for me. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, it's a massive production, your film. I mean, there's so many different sets and different parts moving. How many people did you work with on your film?
I had two animators. All the time I had two sets up. We were filming all the time two different scenes. I had one cameraman, actually two, but they changed. So, and when in Nuku film there is a crew, I don't know, many people who are making props and puppets. So the crew was quite huge, but yeah, two animators, I think it's enough for me to work.
Yeah. Okay, Janneke and Tim, tell us about your film.
Yeah, with us, it was also a long journey. I think from the first idea and developing it was 8 years, but we never did made an animation or stop motion animation before. So it was also quite a trip to get it funded because funds said, well, you never did this before, so should we give you money for that? So we gathered a more experienced team around us. And we got a lot of help from the Holy Motion Studio in Arnhem as well. They also recommend animators, and their DOP did work on our film as well. So we created a sort of an internship for ourselves. So it was a long time of developing. First idea was when I made my graduation film, I think in 2012 or so.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with my grandfather in the nursery home, and yeah, we really like this little universe in the universe, or how you call it, with new relationships that you have to build when you're older. And Tim also had this idea of a man turning into a bird, and we thought it was a good fit to change when you're older, and saying goodbye to the one group and joining the next one. So yeah, well, that's a bit of the process. We think we build puppets and sets in for half a year.
Yeah, half a year, I think.
And and the production itself, it was about 6 months. We also had 3 sets up most of the time, and there were 2 animators simultaneously animating. And we did set building and puppet making in between directing. And we had an intern who was helping us, and the DOP that was helping us also 1 or 2 days a week, I think. Yeah. And so we also learned a lot on the way to do ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, look, I might jump in here and say, I mean, congratulations on getting all these films done, and your story is, you know, that production time lengths and things is not, sadly, you know, an uncommon one. It can take a hell of a long time for an idea to go. And all of these films have turned out great. When I was watching them in preparation for this, the one thing that kind of really struck out to me as a kind of a common thread that runs through them all is the fact that all of your films, in your own different ways, but all of your films, as filmmakers and directors, you've all taken the time to make sure there's plenty of time in the film, plenty of oxygen in the film to just let the story become what it needs to become and let the characters become what they need to become. And that's not as common, or my experience, not as common as you might think. And it takes a certain, I suppose, discipline on the part of the filmmakers, and takes a certain kind of optimism, I suppose, in your vision for the film. Probably takes a little bit of patience for your funders and things like that. But I just wondered if you had anything to say about that, each of you in your own way, if you had anything to say about that kind of space that you allowed into your film to let those stories become what they need to be. Maybe, but I'll just go around in order to, I'll throw out a name. Baz, you're sort of at the top right of my screen, so to start with you for no other reason than that.
Is that me? Sorry, Malcolm, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was incredibly important to us, especially adapting from a poem. The poem is maybe a 2.5 minute read, I think, off the top of my head, and the film is an 8 minute film. So there were, for sure, we knew we wanted to extend beyond the 2.5 minutes, not just for the sake of it, but because there was a lot that the poem has to say, and we wanted to explore those themes in more depth. But in doing so, I think the poem moves through various imagery and emotion fairly swiftly, whereas I feel like we had to build in some of that time just in order to let it sit, in order to let the characters kind of unfold naturally. In our film Paradise, obviously it starts off quite slow and deliberate, so that when we get to the market and things become a bit more fragmented, you're dealing with more cuts, more kind of chaos around the boys, even though it's still a fairly still scene itself. We were very much thinking in terms of kind of pacing of shots, you know, long shots often reserved for Paradise and a quicker kind of edit in the market. Also, part of it was just allowing the characters to breathe in a way that felt authentic. I feel like, particularly within the market scene, what I was keen not to do was to overplay these scenarios. Like that, without a doubt, we're kind of in the perspective of our characters, and we're on that journey with them. But equally, the power of these situations, it belongs in these scenarios that we already recognize to be powerful and emotive situations for these boys. So part of that was just allowing that time for those things to unfold and breathe. But as you say, it is one of those things. I think I agree with you. It is, you don't often see. Well, I mean, in modern media, we cut so quickly now, and edits. You know, everything is short form. Instagram, TikTok, everything is kind of getting quicker. So it does become more rare that you find stories at a slower pace. But for us, it was very deliberate in terms of just allowing things to unfold in a way that felt authentic, that didn't feel overplayed. And then equally, when we get back into Paradise, where our film becomes bigger thematically, both musically, in terms of how dynamic the scenes are and the shots, then that sits against that kind of pacing so that we feel that energy kind of rise. So yeah, that was a lot of the kind of balance that we were trying to strike.
Yeah, you hit it really, really well. I mean, Mari, I might go to you next. Just your film has, it depicts a very large space, and like it's physical space, environmental space is part of it. And sometimes the character can be, you know, quite small within it. But, you know, in terms, was that your choices about the pacing of this and the amount of time that we get to watch that lead character of yours just, you know, be within her space and be not calm within her space, but, you know, she's not always running around all over the place. There's not always action happening the whole time. It's like, again, it's the same question, really. There's obviously a deliberate choice to do that, but how hard was it to find a good pacing for the film that suited the story you wanted to tell?
I don't know, like it's hard to comment that because I did everything like I felt at the moment. So my crew didn't know what is going to be in the end. We didn't have a storyboard. So they were a bit surprised when I threw the storyboard away. When during the shooting, I had the locations and I knew kind of like how long time we need to stay in this specific location, like how many seconds we have to film here. But yeah, later when all the material was animated, then I switched the order and I mixed a lot. So the main thing what I wanted to give was the feeling that if this topic touches you, then you, I don't know, you go to your own journey or something like this.
Yeah, and I think the choices you've made, about the way you pace the film allow the audience to do that. It's sort of my observation, really. Like it's all of your films, but you know, yours in particular is, you know, it gives this room for us to go into this. We're not just watching images roll past us and calculating them. We're being given the time to do that. It's, you know, it's a wonderful thing to experience. You've done it very well.
Yeah, I just hope that if you give the audience more time to stay with one image in one scene, then they got more possibility to go in. So that was my idea, what I wanted to receive.
Yeah, no, great job. And Murmuration's a similar sort of thing. I mean, I had this time last year, I spent 2 or 3 months getting my mother into an aged care facility, and it was a very new world for me, you know, kind of understanding how the personalities in that place work and the kind of the pace of life. You have to simply conform to the pace of life that's in there, and I think, you know, you captured it incredibly well as somebody that's just had that sort of recent experience. But you know, there's a lot of wonderful room in your film to just allow us to get beside that character as he begins this very odd journey around life. I'm wondering what it took, as particularly as stop motion animators. It must take a certain, or does it take a certain discipline to have that kind of time? Whereas because my impulse as a stop motion animator would be to just make things move all the time and keep on moving, you know, whereas you've kind of you've flipped the model on that a little bit, and it's worked incredibly well for the story, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, for us, the story still goes a little too fast for the shots in the
like in the restaurant,
in the restaurant and in the care home. They still go a bit too fast. We wanted actually to be like a documentary, so like a nature's documentary where you look at
just looking what's happening in the elderly home as if you were there.
So for us, that's actually going a little too fast. But we had to make those choices because, well, what you said, stop motion animators, you have to keep moving everything to keep it alive. So
yeah, it was also sometimes we would have liked to have more people in one scene. So we also had in our mind like that you see 3 tables with old people playing bingo or so. But it was it was too time consuming. We couldn't work with, because we had the studio for 6 months. We made an animatic before, so we had a bit of a timing, but sometimes also we find out that some scenes were much harder than we thought before, like this hallway scene where also people passing by and one stays, and we had very difficult water on set, so that was also challenging. So we had to cut some scenes shorter or make them a bit simpler. So we had to do more close-up scenes than we actually had in mind before. So it's even a bit faster than we intended, but I'm very glad that you still find it peaceful and that you can dive in there or watch it quite what's happening there.
No, I do. And it really stood out for me because so many films, I mean, Nag and I see more films than is healthy, really. And, over the years, they've become faster and faster and faster. And, it's like what Baz was saying, it's like the commercial imperative or the mainstream imperative is cut, like quicker, and that kind of thing. So seeing films that, are made like this just reinforce my love of animation as a storytelling format of the kinds of stories that we do. There's also, Nag's got questions, I'm sure, but I'll just part one last point. Like in my mum's aged care place, there is an old guy who goes around and waters the artificial plants, not so much the ones. You know how you've got the guy ordering the plant on the wall. Yeah. This guy's not quite there, but he goes around and waters it. And they've tried to stop him, but he does it every Monday morning. He goes around and waters all there, and they have to follow him around to about the water and stuff. So,
and the plants, are they doing well now? The plastic plants?
They're doing just great. They've maintained a perfect kind of color, the same color they've had for the last 20 years. Probably.
The staff should be slowly replacing them with big plants.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, just one little aside. Over to you, Nag.
I had a question. I mean, again, another unifying factor, I think, between all of your films that I thought was the really sort of close attention to detail with the sound design, not just the music, but the overall sound design. And, they're all, the sound is in general, obviously, such a huge part of animation. But I just thought it was particularly strong in all of your films. Just wondered if you could talk a bit about what your relationship was like with the people that did do the sound on your films, how that came about, and how you directed them, or how it worked. Baz, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So our sound and music was done by a trio who kind of go under the name of Picture Sonics. They're a London-based sound and music studio. We've been working with them for a few years, so we have a bit of a shorthand already. And they have a great appreciation for what we try to do, I think, as a studio, which is, I feel like our style of animation is often quite subtle. Therefore, they are kind of quite in tune with us in terms of when to come in, how much by, and that goes for both sound and music. For us, particularly in Paradise, it was important that we make this a kind of, obviously, a peaceful space that feels immersive, that's kind of quite detail orientated, that thing of when you're alone or you're with someone in a space by yourself, all sounds become amplified, because it is so peaceful. You'll hear the water, you'll hear birds and this sort of thing. Whereas on the contrary, when we get to the market, we wanted that to feel a lot more busy in places, equally at the right times to strip that back so that we're focusing more on what we're seeing on screen, so that we're kind of building tension. Obviously sound is great for building tension, but equally so is space as well. So it was a real juggling act on the kind of sound design part. And with the music, actually, which is obviously an element of the sound, there were a lot of discussions about how big to go with the music. We were fortunate enough to record with an orchestra in Budapest, which was fantastic, but equally this is quite a personal intimate story. So part of the music was, even though the journey these boys go on is, actually I say boys, I need to say they're young men, young adults, 18, 19 years old. But yeah, the journey that they go on, even though it's very intimate, we wanted to convey through the music that for some people, particularly if you're someone who has felt held back, like whether it's yourself or whether it's by society, that the progress you make in the face of, say, prejudice can feel overwhelmingly joyous. And that's why kind of we balance between quite gentle music and then we swell up to really kind of powerful music, so that we're really kind of conveying the boys' sense of joy in the journey that they're on. And I know for a fact, like, that some people find the music, it's been commented sometimes from us that some people actually find the music too much, but for us it was very much aligning ourselves with the characters and going on the journey with them, opposed to, yeah, kind of being totally stripped back and not maybe quite conveying the joy that these boys are feeling. But yeah, certainly Picturesonics did a fantastic job. And I think, as I say, we benefit from having worked together quite a bit before and then really understanding that kind of, yeah, the push and pull of music and sound, and what we're looking for in terms of moving between nuance and, you know, otherwise quite bold and imaginative scenes.
Right. Okay. Marie, tell us about music.
I had a sound designer and I had a composer. Sound designer was Eke Västrik. He's here working in Tallinn and making sound for movies. Very quickly we got the same level. We got the same understanding what we need. I just explained him that the house is a living thing, like a machine, time machine, what is alive. And yeah, our work went very well, very quickly. And Janneke Murd, who made the music, I didn't know him before, but I knew his music. He's done music for several films before. I just contacted him, and when we first met, I didn't know how to speak about music, what I want. So I can't sing, I don't play any instrument, so I couldn't express myself. I just let him do what he feels, and then I was really happy with the result, what he came out. And for him, it was also a good opportunity that he had free hands, that I didn't direct him at all. So yeah, I think our collaboration with both of them was really easy, and somehow, yes, I was surprised that so quickly it was possible to get the same understanding. And now Janneke, the composer, he's planning to release the soundtrack. So I'm really happy, because here in Estonia, some people have been saying when they after a premiere that they didn't get the film, but they liked the music.
Janneke, tell us about your sound and music.
It was also very important, of course. Before we told you that we wanted to have more crowded spaces in the elderly home, but there were only a few puppets, so the sounds must also give the feeling that there was a crowded room. We worked, of course, with a Dutch dialect, so it's all only spoken in the south of the Netherlands. So voice actors are not speaking this language, so we recorded. We worked with a sound designer that did all the sounds in the elderly home and in the forest. We worked 3 days with a how do you call it?
Foley
the
artist.
Foley
Yeah.
Foley artist who really did the sounds of the birds and the water like sounds and stuff. It was very nice to be there and also slow him down sometimes a bit. Like, oh, it really has to be natural. We don't want this animatic. Not too big. It must be feeling a bit documentary. But well, these voices we couldn't record with them because they were speaking French and they didn't understand everything that we want as well. So sometimes it was with hands and feet. And then we recorded a choir, so an actually elderly choir, and they are singing two songs that are like the lyrics are not so important and but the songs themselves, they are very natural to sing here in the region and in elderly home. So it are these sort of anthems of our region, I think. So that was really funny to work with an actual choir. It were far too many people. So first we recorded it with all the people and then say, okay, you can sit down. And then we recorded with only 5 at the end. And then we asked them to also do the bingo scene. So some of the ladies from the choir also read some numbers and some say Pietkin and well, so that was very funny to do. And then I asked my father to do some words from some of the people there, and so it was quite. We ask all sorts of people, so really professional Foley artists, sound designers, but also family members and an elderly choir. And then we had Sjoerd and Roos Reberg who did the music. They are actually a band, Roast Beef, so they didn't make any film music before, but they did a very nice album just before we started filming. And then we thought, oh, that sounds really film-like already. So we asked them if they wanted to do it. They said, well, we never did it before, but sounds nice. And then we really let them do their thing. First when we had an animatic, and then more fine-tuning when we filmed everything.
Have you?
I know those people take their bingo very, very seriously.
Yes. Yes.
Bingo is close to a full body contact sport in those environments. I've discovered.
Yeah. My grandfather, who actually lived in this elderly home, he really hated the bingo. He wanted to just drink his coffee quietly and conversate with people, and then the bingo starts, and he was literally like, oh no, they are going to do this again.
He would put off his hearing aids.
Yeah, he was putting off his hearing aids because he didn't want to hear. So that was, it's funny.
Yeah, if you turn up at the wrong time of the day, it's like an army of people getting down the hall in slow motion on their Zimmer frames heading for the bingo. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like a magnet pull.
You really have to be quiet because otherwise they won't hear anything.
No. You get the shush.
I was wondering if you've screened the film to the choir. Have they seen it?
Not yet. They screened it in the neighborhood, and we also contacted them, but not yet. There were some people who saw it that live in the elderly home or worked in the elderly homes, and they were laughing extra hard at some of the parts. So that was funny. But I also hear people saying from other sides of the world, even Japan or Australia, so they say, it's funny to see that all these elderly homes are exactly the same. So we thought maybe it's something very regional or so, but this everywhere, it's almost the same feeling. So that's nice to hear.
Absolutely is. No, you captured it brilliantly.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess just one last question for everyone, just where what you might be working on next, if you are working on anything, future plans, that sort of thing. So let's go around again. Baz, what's next for you?
Well, we've just actually been greenlit on a commercial, so we're creating some animated segments for a commercial for the US. So that's going to keep us busy immediately. But in the long term, I'm I've just started development on my first feature, would be a stop motion animation. So yeah, I'll be submitting my treatment for development funding. Hopefully, we'll find someone who will get behind it. But yeah, it's a project I've wanted to make for a long time. It's based on quite a personal story within my family, so I've had to wait quite a few years to feel both ready, kind of personally and professionally, to make it. But yeah, now feels like the time. So yeah, hopefully we'll get it off the ground and watch this space in 10 years' time.
Well, fingers crossed.
You know where to find us.
Well, this one took 5 minutes. It was 5 years, so I'm thinking this one's going to take even longer. But yeah, we'll see.
Excellent.
Nag and I are immortal. We'll be here to receive.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Brilliant. I'll put it in the diary.
How about you, Marie? Are you working on anything?
Yes, I'm now preparing painted animation. We are in developing process at the moment. I'm making test animations already. I'm making here in Tallinn again, and in a small studio called Rebel Frame. I'm painting on canvas, not on the glass, because I want the texture will be seen through, like every next level. Through the level, you can see the previous frame all the time. So something like this I'm testing. It's time consuming. It's about a woman and man. One is living inside the tower. The man is living outside the tower, and they are keeping up this system. They're keeping up the balance. And when finally the balance will fall, then they understand that this is the right, that sometimes you are keeping up some system or your life routine so hardly that you just think that it's the right thing to do, but actually when you just leave it, then maybe you get free. So, and in my film also, what I felt connection with this Murmuration, that the woman turns to be a bird in the end. So,
All right.
what I found.
Great. Janneke and Tim?
Yeah, we worked on some assignments. Last time we did some live animation during a concert from the Philharmonic Orchestra in Rotterdam. Sometimes we get these things on our pad, and it's very nice to do that. And we also have now some funding to develop a next film. So that went quicker than we thought. We thought also to wait for it a few years, but it also because Murmuration does very well at the moment. Yeah, I think it's now a bit quicker that we have some develop funding. It's an adapted story from a children's book about two brothers living outside on a big lake, and the lake is haunted. And well, yeah, what can I tell about it? There is one day that the smaller brother has to overcome his fears and go over the frozen lake. So it's just, yeah, we have a treatment now, a first treatment. We are writing with the writer who also wrote the book. And now it's developing the story and making other puppets, because we only made elderly puppets now, and we have to make two younger brothers now. So we have to find out if it's still working with the pantyhose that we used for the elderly people. And these are also more they have
to talk more, so
yeah, they have more conversation, so we have to find out how they are going to move, because the elderly people, they only can open and close their mouth, so we have to develop also a bit of the puppet. So we're very excited to work on that, to make a new environment with same style, but yeah, develop other ways in our style or so. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look forward to seeing all your future films, and thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you for allowing us to screen your great films at the festival. Good luck as well with these films on your film festival journey. I know they're all fairly new, so they're just sort of starting out. Yeah, good luck with everything. And thank you again for joining us. And maybe we'll see you around at some film festival somewhere again soon. So say
Thank you.
goodbye now.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.